Good morning, YouTube. Another day, another unboxing. I know what this is, and it's rather exciting for so many reasons. Let's see. Okay, so yes, I'm quite excited. I've been waiting for this watch since May, basically. It's a long story, which you might have seen being told on my channel, because it was kind of like a dramatic purchase, and then ultimately things have been sorted just last week. Oh my god, why do they make these things like this? Okay, so I like an old traditional old-fashioned box, you know what I mean? Anyway, I think I like the fact that you basically open to display, boom, there you go, what's inside. The Phantasos. As I was saying, been waiting for this watch since May, when I first made the order on their website, because this watch was on crowdfunding, but for like a couple of months I missed the crowdfunding. I was late to the party. I saw the videos coming out about this watch, but it was just, I think they started, or at least the one I noticed, I think it was Watchfinder, it came out just when the crowdfunding was already finished. That's when maybe they started shipping review units, I don't know. Anyway, made the order on May. I was told that the watch would be manufactured in June. Then there was a few months of nothing that sparked me into making, besides sending a lot of emails, making a video as well to tell you about this experience. And then about a week ago, I was contacted by them asking me, did you hear from John being the managing director of this company? And I said, well, I'm sorry guys, but I did open a chargeback request because I wasn't hearing from you. It was months, it was like 4 months. You have 6 months of time to do a chargeback request. And I was like, I don't want to risk losing my money, because they had completely vanished on several email addresses. But apparently, I mean, they kept reassuring people on crowdfunding, just not replying to my emails. And apparently, right now, they solved, also because in the summer they said they had quality control issues, because making this watch is rather complicated. So anyway, it seems now they solved all their issues. They have the watches, they are shipping the watches. All the people I know, both from crowdfunding and from website orders, that I've been in touch with, also thanks to the channel, they've all told me that their situation has been sorted, the watches have been sent, people has already received the watches, so all is fine. So let's put that behind us. Phantasos is now officially an existing project that you can buy from on the website. Anyway, nice box, as you can see. Nice box, right, perfectly sized. I don't like those big ass boxes. This is perfectly sized, and nice feelings, nice materials. Then inside we have, oh, this is really nice. We have, oh, I didn't expect this. I don't know if this is a gift or what. Well, so basically, as I was saying, the thing is, when I was contacted by them, I said, I'm sorry guys, I did make a chargeback request and I got my money back from MasterCard. I dared writing in the email, you know, I still would like to review the watch, because I'm really curious, especially with all this drama and all this situation at this point. I'm really curious about the watch. I would still love to review it. And that's when immediately they replied, that's fine, we're gonna send you a watch for review, which was very nice of them. And literally within hours I had a shipping tracking number. So yeah, that was great. Now, as you see in the box, we have both the leather strap and the silicone rubber. I guess it's more rubber. I'm not sure if it's fluororubber or silicone, but it's a really nice strap. I usually don't like rubber silicone straps. In this case, it's a nice color and it's a nice feel, so I'm not excluding potentially even use this strap because it's actually nice. And the leather strap, it's also really nice as well, with this nice blue purpley, because it's rather dark but with a little hue of purple rather than just navy. They call it royal blue, and it makes sense because, you know, blue purple are two colors used by the royals, and so it makes sense. It's a blue purpley royal blue. Yeah, so let's see what else is in the box. We have a little card with a warranty. Okay, designed in Massachusetts, that's John, and assembled in Hong Kong, and that's the other person that contacted me when the watch was ready. Okay, so we have some quick release pins. I guess they're basically replacements. Oh no, maybe they are for this, for the rubber one, because the leather one already has them. Very nice quick release system. I really appreciate that. I always swear at manufacturers that don't make quick release, because I'm like, how difficult can it be to do a quick release, you know, strap or bracelet? Come on, why do I have to risk scratching my watch and losing a lot of patience and time dealing with, you know, stupid, you know, straps and bracelets that don't have a quick release? Anyway, nice also, let's say, travel case here for the watch. So let's see. Boom. Oh my god, wow. Okay, really nice presence from this watch. If you see it in the promotional pictures, and also on videos, and also on you know, all the materials I could see, even YouTube videos, it looks smaller, you know. It's actually, I think it's actually a 42, which makes sense for this kind of Genta styled watch, because, you know, with the integrated, you know, the case, they very much went for the, let's say, I want to dare say, the Nautilus, you know, that kind of style that every brand has, you know, every big brand has one of those in their, you know, in their lineup. And they generally are between 40 and 42 in size. This being 42, it makes total sense. It's a big watch also because you need to be able to house, you know, the space for the rotor thing. It has a specific name, that thing. Yesterday I was watching a video where Felix Baumgartner was talking about his Urwerk watches, and obviously he was saying all the right, you know, words for the rotor, for the cylinders. They call them blocks, these cylinders, but the rotor has a name that I already forgot. Anyway, yes, really, really nice present. I wasn't expecting this, honestly. I'll be honest, I had kind of given up on this watch, in the sense that obviously when I bought it in May, I was super excited about it. Then all the things happened in the months, the wait and so on, kind of put me off. And then the Atowak coming out as well, you know, like distracted me from this. But it's actually a really, really, really nice watch. So I'm really happy that in the end they sent it to me, because I was right in buying it, honestly. I was right in being excited about it. It's a really nice watch. It's a really quirky watch, but at the same time, you know, you have a kind of traditional style. You know what I mean? Because it is quirky because of the wandering hours, but you have a classic, you know, round dial and case, you know, a Genta looking case, which is actually really nicely designed, you know, with these shapes here, integrated, very nicely integrated. The bracelet seems amazing as well. It has a really nice clasp, I can see. And wow, this thing is really nice. It's really nice. I'm honest. I'm not being nice to Phantasos, because at this point, after having brought out all that, let's say, negativity from the situation, it's not like I want to make up. I am actually enjoying the watch. So it's a Miyota. They also sell the Sellita SW200 as an option. I think, to be honest, I did order the Miyota. I didn't go for the SW200. Obviously, this watch could totally deserve the upgrade to the SW200, the Sellita, because you know, it's if you're into this watch, if you're into this style and everything, having a Swiss movement, you know, can be something good for some people. I do have a whole watch case of Miyota watches, so I'm not fussy about that, I'll be honest. It was about $150 more, if I'm not wrong, for the upgrade. And I'll be honest, I don't mind the Miyota. I do have some really nicely performing Miyotas. So nothing wrong with the Miyota. And yeah, I mean, look at it. It's really nice. It's interesting to see how they approach the same, you know, problem, you know, building this kind of mechanism differently. It's the same problem, but approach it differently, slightly differently from Atowak. And I mean, I'll show it for just a second. I got it yesterday, as you can see, also for reference. As you can see, the size is similar, but then obviously this is more traditional and this is more like bonkers. So, you know, it's up to, honestly, if you want to go for, if you want wandering hours and you want something more traditional looking, or if you want something more bonkers, this is $700 and this is $2,000. So there's also that big difference. And both of them are Miyotas. And then the bigger difference that I really wanted to show is how, you know, they managed, the Phantasos guys, besides having a more traditional case design, they also managed to keep it much thinner while still having to deal with the same problem, and that is to give enough space for the blocks to rotate. So I think they did a great job at actually managing to keep the watch thinner. And this is what I was saying yesterday when I did the unboxing of this. And I said, I wish they kept it just a little bit thinner, designing these angles a little bit, you know, to make it a little bit thinner, because they could have, I think. If you see this watch, I think there is space. They could have left it just a little bit thinner. Although, that might be the actual issue that Phantasos had to go through, and that made them, you know, delay a little bit, because that's it really, you know, like they had issues in managing the exact tolerances of, you know, space between the dial and the rotor and the glass. It all needed to be exactly placed, otherwise the watch would stop working, because something would, you know, like get in the way. But in the end, they did a great job, and the watch is actually really impressive. And look at that! Wow. It's really impressive. And I'm honest, I'm not being, you know, I'm not bootlicking Phantasos now. I'm honest, I'm really impressed. I love this project since I knew about it. because I like Wandering Hours, I like quirky watches. Obviously, I like Urwerk, even though obviously the Wandering Hours that Urwerk does, they're always strikingly exceptional, you know. But the design can be a bit over the top, and the same can be said about Atowak. But I think even the Atowak, it's still a bit cleaner in terms of design than Urwerk. You know what I mean? People will tell me that I'm swearing right now because I'm saying that the $2,000 watch is nicer looking than the Urwerk, but that's, how I feel at the moment, because I have seen just videos of the Urwerk, but in terms of design, sometimes I think they're a bit overly done. This also is still too much, but it's a bit more cleaner, you know what I mean? And then ultimately we have this, which is the cleanest, most traditional design, where you still have the Wandering Hours, but they put it in a traditional circle dial case. So I guess it's really down to preference and down to the fact that, some of those designs by Urwerk, they're actually made on purpose to do something different, because I guess that's the selling point of those watches is, you want something crazy, the Wandering Hours, well then we're gonna package it as completely crazy. The whole case design is crazy, the shape of the case design, they just won't make a simple circle like this. But I do appreciate putting this kind of movement in a cleaner Gerald Genta design, you know what I mean? So at the same time, you can have a crazy watch with a crazy movement, but that also looks like a normal watch, in the sense that obviously you can wear this with a suit, you know what I mean? Because it's not too thick. It's not thicker than, some tool watches. Let's see, I'm gonna tell you exactly. It's 14 point, no, actually, sorry, it's 13.5, okay? 13.5, well, it really depends. I need to push a lot on the instrument, but yeah, 13.5, and so it's absolutely manageable, compared to, again, let's see exactly what the Atowak gets to. Yeah, compared to the 17.6 of the Atowak. So those 0.4, those 4 millimeters more, they actually make the Atowak is impossible to wear with a suit, because if you have a cufflink or button sleeve in a shirt, it's not gonna work. Also because of the weird shape, it's just not gonna just automatically get into your shirt sleeve. This one can definitively do that, So the Atowak is honestly a watch more for like either the weekends, or if you're that kind of person that can, go to work, or in your daily life you can wear like more sportier outfits, even with cardigans, but just not shirts, just not suits. While this one can totally be also a formal, crazy but formal watch, you know what I mean? And the whole look is not so in your face as the Atowak. So I think this watch honestly has some really, 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 really great advantages. One being the thickness that, they managed to keep much more reasonable. Then the more classic design, the Genta 70s design, a really, really nice bracelet. Even the Atowak has a nice bracelet, but this one is more traditionally integrated, and ultimately, obviously, the price. you know, $700. It's amazing, you know, because if you think Urwerk sells the watches for 100,000, Atowak sells you the Cobra for 2,000, Phantasos will sell you this for 700, which is absolutely reasonable. You can even add those 150 more to get the Selita, get to under $900. You still have a watch, and I'm talking with the bracelet. Actually, the price I'm talking about, the 700, is with the bracelet. So under 900 you have a watch with the bracelet, with the Swiss movement, with the wandering hours, and that actually puts to shame Urwerk, you know, because it's 100th of the price of an Urwerk. Obviously, I am aware that Urwerk does not simply modify a Miyota or a Selita, but their movements, they have some amazing complications on top of the wandering hours. So there's more in the Urwerk. Also more special materials, you know, they do some amazing things with the metals and carbon and so on. So, you know, there's all that. The other thing is, obviously, these brands, both Phantasos and Atowak, they have made more wandering hours watches in the past. They have done the Ettore and maybe some more, I'm not sure, but, you know, so the Cobra is not the first watch with wandering hours they do. So I think they can be considered a bit more reliable because of that, because they have some know-how, even though the Cobra is the first watch they do with their rotating blocks. In case of Phantasos, Phantasos is connected with angles. They came out with, I think it was called the Knights watch, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but that also was a rotating discs wandering hours. So even these guys, they have experience with the wandering hours. But again, even for them, it's the first rotating blocks. So that's what I was saying. You need to see about the reliability, because obviously putting this big ass thing on top of the dial, it can be troublesome for the watch, the movement, to deal with it and so on. But let's hope for the best and that these watches will be reliable. Now, this is how the watch operates. As you can see, it's the opposite of the Cobra, because the Cobra tells you the time on the lower part of the dial, which is actually good in a particular scenario. So yesterday I went out, let me put the Phantasos aside just for a second, but I was out driving, and you know, when you drive and you hold the wheel in your hands, the watch is exactly in this position, and it's ideal to read the time when you're driving. So this is a great driver's watch. If your job, if your daily routine involves a lot of driving, this kind of dial, this kind of watch is amazing, because it just puts the time exactly, always ready for you to check on your watch, on your wrist. In this case, the time is on the top part of the dial, so the movement is, the blocks, they're actually changing time, they're rotating down here. So now it's 2:15, and you see that the 3 came out, 2:30, 2:35, and now it's 3. And the 4, you know, before we had the 1, and the 4 is coming, you know, to get ready, it's turning to get ready to get there. So yeah. One thing I noticed both on the Atowak and on this, which is quite amazing, is that you can regulate the time both ways. You see, even if you go backwards, the blocks turn, even going back. And this is just not obvious, because not all wandering hours watches can do that. This was told yesterday. Yesterday night I spent the evening watching Urwerk videos. I watched a couple of videos about the Spock, and I'm gonna say a couple of words about the Spock. But the nice lady that was presenting the Spock on her channel, she was mentioning the fact that, yeah, you can go backwards, but not all wandering hours watches do that, so it's not completely obvious. Well, this is the nice thing about these two watches, both Phantasos and Atowak. They both can do that. They both can go back. So, you know, if that's a special fit for Urwerk, I would say it's even more a special fit for these watches. As I was saying before, the thickness is an issue with this kind of watches because you need to be able, you know, in that space, you need to be able to house the movement, the dial, and then this big ass, you know, block of hands with blocks. So it's really difficult to make a thin watch, and that was a problem that even, you know, Felix Baumgartner, the, you know, the guy that designs the Urwerk, the founder and designer of Urwerk, he basically knows that, you know, like the thickness is the issue with this kind of watches. So what he came up with is splitting the block in two so that when it turns on itself, it uses only half of the space. In that way, you can make half, you know, size of thickness of the block, and, you know, you can make as a thinner watch. But then at the same time, you need to thin the whole movement, because now you see here, you have the blocks, but the blocks aren't particularly thicker than the rotor thing itself. They need to rework, re-engineer the whole movement, the whole rotor movement part, and that's, I guess, challenging. But, you know, what I meant to say is that I saw this video, this lady showing the Spock, and by the way, the name Spock comes by the fact that the block basically splits like this when before rotating, and then it rotates, you know, both of them rotate. But, you know, making this movement, this is the Spock salute from, you know, Star Trek. What they could manage is to reduce the thickness of the watch. Honestly, in this video where this lady was showing the watch, she was comparing the old UR 110 and then this new Spock, which I don't remember if it's UR 112, something like that. Anyway, she was comparing side by side on the sides like this, the two watches, and I couldn't see that big of a difference, I'll be honest, in terms of thickness, or at least not such a big difference, you know, to show a real improvement by doing this Spock effect. I should see the figures. Obviously, I'm sure there is an advantage, because otherwise, you know, Urwerk wouldn't go that far as having to re-engineer the whole thing and making it more complicated to not gain, you know, on the thickness, which is the actual point they're trying to make. Just I couldn't see such an improvement in thickness, I'll be honest. So I'm really curious to see the figures. There's no thickness issues whatsoever with the Phantasos, because again, 12 point, what was it? I don't remember, 13.4. I mean, it's totally reasonable. I do have tool watches which are thicker than this, which are absolutely wearable, you know, for this kind of watch. As you can see, the case itself is rather normal. It's really not thick at all. The case back doesn't come out so much, because it's actually exceptionally an exceptional achievement, I would say, to put both the movement and, you know, all the elements that we have here in so little space. You know, the case back isn't protruding so much. The case is normally slim. And then, yes, you have the glass coming out a bit, but you have that in many watches as well. Obviously here maybe a little bit more, but not ridiculously more. And then the glass is domed a little bit. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a little bit domed. In the end, they achieved an amazing level of thinness for this watch. It's totally wearable, totally reasonable. And I would say when you have this level of thickness, you really don't need to do the Spock thing. But yeah, I guess in this kind of watches, the more crazy you make it, the better if you're into this kind of stuff. But the real amazing thing of the Phantasos is being able to give you the wandering hours with a rather, you know, like classic, not particularly over the top look. I wanted also very quickly to show how the straps, the provided additional straps, which by the way, I didn't order. I originally ordered the watch, I believe, with the bracelet. I didn't order the leather and rubber straps, but again, this watch was sent for review, so I don't know if Phantasos provided the additional straps because of that. So I'm not sure that if you buy to the bracelet, I'm not sure you're getting the other two straps as well. I don't know. But anyway, this is how it looks with the leather strap. As you can see, the leather strap is darker. It's not the same exact color, but it's the same hue, I would say. So this is just darker version of that color. So they go together very well, I would say. Then the rubber, it's another story because I don't know, at first I have the impression that the color isn't matching so well, in the sense that this color is a bit more like petrol, you know, it's more like it has a little bit of, if this one has a little bit of purple, let's say, in the hue, this one seems to have a little bit of green, if you know what I mean, in the hue. So it's usually called petrol blue, I guess. I'm not sure. So it seems like it's not, the hue is not perfectly matching, but it's also not, again, it's also not completely mismatching, because depending on how the dial catches the light, you see, as you move it, it kind of has different hues of blue. So I would say it still matches even the rubber strap quite well. I could see myself using the leather, and I could see myself using the rubber as well, depending on situations. Like, you know, this is good about the versatility of the watch, because you can use it with the bracelet, and then if you have a more formal situation, you can swap it to the leather. And then maybe in the summer, if you're doing more sports activities, you can swap to the rubber, you know. And given the fact that it's a quick release, you see, it's a quick release system on all three options, obviously. It's not difficult to swap over, so that's good. I've seen comments on the Urwerk. Sorry, I don't remember. I think it was Ian Mar, if I'm not wrong, commenting that, you know, coming with an engineer background, he was appreciating the technical aspect of the complication of the wandering hours complication, but he couldn't get over the ugly looks of the watch itself, which I understand. I'll be honest, I think it's really personal. In my case, I really am loving the Atowak, and I just like the quirkiness. But obviously, I'm aware it's really divisive, and to some people, that's just plain ugliness. Well, in this case, I suppose, Ian Mar, if it was you, do you actually like this one? Because here you have the engineering fit with a much more normal and classic design. Anyway, I did talk a lot, but I'm passionate about wandering hours, and I would talk for hours about them. But anyway, I think it's enough for this one. What I'm definitely gonna do in the next days, As soon as I was able to wear the Phantasos a little bit more, I'm gonna be doing a side-by-side video to compare them, to give a bit more of impressions on both of them. When I will have tried them both, I will make a side-by-side video, because this is gonna be interesting, I believe. And well, thank you for watching. Since then, remember as well my giveaways and so on. So subscribe to the channel and comment on my review videos. You can win 10 watches. And yes, thanks for watching. Have a good evening and bye.